Women Up Radio, designed to facilitate women's empowerment, improve your career, develop your talents, incorporate your passions, achieve fulfillment and success.
Hello, this is Anna Letitia Cook of Women Up Radio, speaking to the girls on the road about their quest to support women entrepreneurs around the world. Fernanda and Taciana are visiting 24 countries, interviewing women and researching the conditions, business ecosystems, challenges and advantages that exist in each country. Today, we're visiting Rwanda. Hi, Fernanda and Taci. How are you today?
Hi, Anna.
Very good, Anna.
Good.
How are you?
Good.
I'm fine, thank you. So, tell me, Rwanda. I only know Rwanda through charity work linked to my old school. So I really have no knowledge, no expectations. It's a complete mystery to me from the business point of view. So this is going to be really very interesting. So tell me, what's the general vision of business, of women in business and women entrepreneurs in Rwanda?
I think we had a very pleasure experience. Of course, as you said, that you only knew about Rwanda, about charity work. We pretty much knew about, the terrible facts that happened in Rwanda back in the 90s, the movie. But then we met a lot of women there, and we could see that the country is really rebuilt itself, and it's taking into consideration like the percentile participation of women. A lot of women in the government, a lot of women getting into businesses, and they see the importance of, gather a lot of young people to make sure that they have a lot of skills to be able to build a stronger country, and they're very proud that Rwanda is, being able to attract attention in the entire African countries.
Yeah, I think we have to, try to put things on perspective when we talk about Rwanda, because we had such a powerful experience, because as Fernanda mentioned, we only had info. We knew about the genocide, of course. We saw the movie, but we had no idea, of course, of the extension of everything that happened in the country in 94. And they have this attitude since then of rebuilding the country and, coming together. And they are a very equal country, and we could see that. So Rwanda is one of the most egalitarian countries in the world. I'm not talking about Africa.
Yeah.
48% of women in the parliament. It's probably, it's second behind Iceland, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So usually you do not think about these things when you think about Rwanda. That's how ignorant we are. We certainly were, and before we were there and had the chance to learn a little bit about the country and how they are using entrepreneurship and the power and the presence of women to keep rebuilding the country. It's important to remember that after the genocide, the numbers of men that were killed was astonishing. Women as well, but much more men. Yeah. So women, in a very, imagine the situation that the country is going through. They have to really go ahead and start rebuilding the country. And since then, they have had such an important presence. They have the support of the society. They have the support of the government. Yeah. They are organizing themselves. They are very active. They are empowered, they have attitude, and they are, praising their culture. A lot of business that we had the pleasure to interview, women really, trying to put the Rwanda culture in evidence, in fashion, in artifacts. So, they really trying to rescue everything that they once were in a very, very positive way. So Rwanda, I would say that, and Fernanda, I'm sure she'll probably agree, that finishing the whole 15 months in Rwanda was probably one of the most exhilarating experience that we could have, because it was truly, truly inspirational to see how they have been able to, turn around.
Wonderful. Huh. Well, that sounds incredible. So for the women, if they're so dynamic and they're so engaged and committed, what does it mean for them as women entrepreneurs? Is there a big difference between being employed in a company or being an entrepreneur? And for the women entrepreneurs, do they get a lot of support?
We cannot tell a lot about like being an employee in a corporate, because of course we only interview the entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But what we can see is like a lot of women, because of the 90s, the genocide, a lot of them were forced to leave the country, and they were able to get a good education outside of Rwanda. But then what they say, like a lot of people now have this desire to go back to really exercise their Rwandese citizenship and to help to build the country. In terms of opportunities, in terms of corporation, as I said, we interviewed 2 women who were friends since they were kids, and then they got separated during the genocide and get together back when they were in college. And they build a company like a outplacement company. They're able to prepare to see the skills that the market is in need, and to prepare young generations of Rwanda to really take on these jobs and be able to build their careers. Yeah. So what they say, like not only women are really going for entrepreneurship, but also they have like more opportunities now to work in companies and being able to get an education, to get like a training and go into the workforce.
That sounds fascinating. It's really very, very strong and very positive. So,
and of course, we cannot be naive thinking that everything is heaven. Even though they have this idea of reconciliation, to get the 2 different groups from Rwanda to come in peace together. We can still feel a tension, and they still like talk about some things. It's a mix of trying to forget and forgive, and look forward to make sure that nothing like that happens again.
Yeah.
But of course, we can only imagine, not even like imagine, that how hard it should be to really forget and forgive and move on.
Yeah.
It's a long healing process, but they're really making the most of it, really putting themselves out there to make this happen. It's the most important thing I would say.
Yeah, no, it's very good example for the rest of the world then. So what are the main factors in the business ecosystem in Rwanda?
It seems to be, for us, it seems to be a very organized country in general. Mm-hmm. Structures in place, and they were many of them mentioned that, many of the women that we interviewed, how the government are putting in place initiatives that really support entrepreneurship, having women also leading along with men leading these initiatives. We even joke that we visit the capital, Kigali. Kigali was one of the cleanest, probably one of the cleanest cities that I've ever been.
Oh, really?
It's amazing. And they have this sense of community. For example, in every month, in one Sunday, the people, really everybody go to the streets to clean the streets, to take care of for example, a school that needs some sort of repair, do some social work. I mean, everybody goes out. It's throughout the country. It's really powerful, and they talk about it with such pride.
Yes,
that's really touching. Really touching.
It's not only the cleaning. What they say in these Sundays, they also have like whatever issue that is affecting the immediate community. Yeah, they have the group to discuss like what's going on, how we can fix it, how we can move on. What's needs to be done, from the president to the person who lives in the countryside. Yeah. Everybody tries to discuss, and I think this is an inheritance after the genocide, because they said that they had to review and to kind of like go through a lot of people who were in need to put in prisons, and they wouldn't have like so many judges, so many people. Yeah. Apart because many of them were killed, or because there were not just enough people to handle
the country.
the whole job, and they kind of like had this cultural aspect that they already had in the past, like try to solve the problems based on community, chat.
Yes.
So they just kept doing from that time on.
Yeah. Okay. And so for the women here, are there any particular challenges or advantages for them?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I think in challenges, of course, even though like Rwanda is rebuilding and we see all these improvements, it still is not like a powerful economy. They have like more. It's difficult to have access, especially like logistically speaking. It's not easy to get in and get out the country, especially when you're trying to, as we said, like we talk a lot with women that are trying and making business in terms of fashion, design, and they have a lot of work into getting their products out of Rwanda. Even like for us to get a flight out of Rwanda wasn't like that easy.
Landlocked. Right?
Yeah, they're landlocked. So they don't have lots of natural resources. So that's what they joke about, like about the genocide, that, if they had like oil, maybe the international community would have paid attention more to them.
Yeah.
So they have their problems. They have like cultural problems to fix. They have this natural resource that is kind of like difficult to access. But, that's why they say that they have to use their brains and, to build new business, new ideas. And they really wanted to be a role model to the other African countries.
Yes. Okay. And what about soft and hard skills? Have they got any in common with other countries? Have they developed anything special?
Well, I think in terms of hard skills, those who can, of course, and we interviewed many women entrepreneurs that were able, of course, and again, even before the genocide, their families, left the country so they were able to study in South Africa or, close by countries in the African continent, and they are now returned. They have returned. They're helping rebuilding the country. So they have a, very good education. And even those who are studying in Kigali, in Rwanda, they have a very good level of education. And they are now trying to be more and more digital wise, of course. So that says a lot. Where they want to what they want to achieve, where they want to go. They still know they have a long road ahead of them. But I would say that the most important thing is their sense of community.
Yeah.
And of course, talking about the women themselves, they really see themselves as agents of change.
Yes.
And they're definitely trying to impact, younger generations, not only of young girls, but also, young boys. In terms of believe in yourself, we are, again, rebuilding the country. You have a place in here. You can do something, be part, be active.
Yeah.
So they talk about the country, and with a lot of, they're so proud. They recognize, and it's an open wound. We can feel that. Yeah. Again, as I mentioned, it's a long healing process that one can only imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're still working on that. It's going to be, they might have to work on that for, a long time still.
Yes.
But they're moving forward.
Yeah.
So I think that says a lot. And in terms of soft skills, I think that the sense of community, of helping each other, of collaborating, I think that we can learn a lot from one.
Excellent. Okay. So would you say that links to a key motivational difference that they can show that would help other women entrepreneurs, or other women entrepreneurs in other countries? Or is there something else that you think is a really good example that could help other countries?
I think we can show other countries like they were very resilient. Once shit hit the fan, they had to get the grips and say, okay, let's rebuild, let's move on, and let's occupy places to make this country move forward. They show like how powerful women are, how powerful they're able to get together and get things done.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good example to every other country. Like when woman is given opportunity, they can handle amazingly well.
And I remember that we talked about that in one of the programs about how somehow we felt the same kind of spirit when we were in Lebanon, for example, you know, having gone through a civil war for so many years.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of the same situation because they're all Lebanese, you know, from different sides of the road killing each other.
Yeah.
So when you go through something like that, and of course, we know there are other countries that go through, you know, huge challenges. But this sort of experience, I think it changes you.
Yes.
In terms of, okay, I have to move on and I have to do something to make sure this never happen again, and how I'm going to be productive to help my country be a healthy place. So I think maybe these women, they have an extra inch of being able to see something positive and, you know, try to put a positive spin in everything because they have gone through so much.
And I think changes your perspective as well. Things that we take it like, oh my gosh, what happens to me? How can I do it? It's like, really, are you whining about that? You know, there's so many things that we can, as I said, like even imagine that small things that for us takes like an enormous proportion, for them is like, okay, what's next?
Yes, yeah, definitely. They're strong. They have a different vision. It sounds wonderful. Well, it sounds like you had an amazing 15 months and that Rwanda was a really good place to finish with. Wonderful.
Oh, definitely. Yes, we were blessed, I guess, to, you know, being able to wrap up the project there.
Lovely.
Met people, were able to see a bit of Kigali, you know, get into the model taxis. all over the city. So it was fun. It was also an adventure.
Great. Well, it's been absolutely wonderful traveling around all of these countries with you and hearing about the 15 months that you were on the road. And you very kindly agreed to do another couple of interviews with us. One, to do a summary of really the women entrepreneurs around the world, what it's like, the similarities, the differences, and what you take away that would help everybody understand a bit more about entrepreneurship. So that's the interview that we'll be doing next. And then after that, another one about the different generations of women entrepreneurs, because it's very interesting when you've